You're listening to the Paul Higgins podcast for SaaS consulting partners ready to scale beyond six figures without more work or a bigger team. Let's dive in. Still overwhelmed by AI? You're not alone. And today's guest is going to cut through the noise to help you and help your clients. This is Paul, and welcome to episode 613 of the Paul Higgins podcast. I talked to Kate vanderVoort from Social Mediology, and she's been helping service-based business owners just like you to stop chasing shiny AI tools and start building practical systems that actually save time. And if you've been stuck wondering, where do I even start with AI? You're probably a little bit past that, but your clients aren't. The second is, how do I use it without sounding like everyone else? And the third is, how do I make sure that my team uses it too? Kate has the answers in this podcast. You'll learn how to create custom GDPs trained on your tone and documents. She's got a brilliant suggestion on that. The second is 10 foundational assets every AI business needs. And once again, you can get your client to set these up so you can help them. And the last one is why AI success is 80% systems and 20% tools. Don't forget that there's still humans using the AI. Kate is the founder of Social Mediology and AI Success Lab, and she's helped hundreds of business owners implement AI the right way. If you'd rather get results than talk AI, this episode is the starting point for you. To watch the full interview with Kate, you can go to our YouTube channel at Paul Higgins Mentoring, and let's dive in and hear Kate from Social Mediology. Great to have you here, Kate.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, I heard you on Michael Stelzner's podcast and thoroughly enjoyed it and thought, I've got to get you in front of my audience. There might be a bit of a crossover. If you listen to Michael and you also listen to myself, let me know. But I love the conversation you had with Michael and want to sort of take it more specifically to today. But, why don't we start just with who are you working with at the moment? And then we'll get into how you're helping them and what you're doing.
And so much has changed since I was on Michael Stelson's podcast too, so it's good for an update. We are, and it's funny, I always get asked, who's your ideal audience? I said exactly the same thing 15 years ago when we started working with social media, is really our audience is anyone that is looking into the big black hole that is AI and really trying to figure out, what does this mean for me personally, professionally? And sometimes even for humanity. There's a lot of those big questions being asked at the moment. But typically we're working with medium-sized businesses and we come in and work with a team or a department. So that's more of the corporate business side of our work. And then we have our online programs, which is more for small business marketers, consultants, entrepreneurs.
Great.
So we have a bit of a split market at the moment.
Great. And did you do the training first and then evolve to online, or was it the other way around?
Oh, Paul, I had a social media success academy about 10 years ago, and I swore I would never do online courses and membership. It almost broke me. But there's a funny thing happening, particularly in Australia at the moment, where a lot of people are just paralyzed on making decisions about AI. We have, probably 50 proposals out at the moment with companies who've come to us asking us to do work with them, but they're really struggling with how to get started. My community was demanding courses and membership, the smaller, agile, entrepreneurial folk who just are ready to jump in and really use AI in their business. A little bit reluctantly, I have now set up online courses and a membership and really serving that community because they're the ones who are really ready to take massive action at the moment.
Obviously, you're using AI to help create the online courses. If you had to take a rough percentage of what it used to take you to create a course versus what it takes you now, is it the same? Is it 50% less time? I don't know. Just give us a bit of an indication of how long it's taking you to get a course out now with the advent of AI.
Ah, the irony. I am a very hands-on, believe in really delivering value kind of person. And unfortunately, AI is changing so quickly. I can't pre-record anything. All of our courses right now are being run as live coaching programs. And that's why I've launched the membership so that we can start, we can really just keep ahead of and across the changes that are happening. I imagine that by the time AI gets to a place where you can have a totally pre-recorded course that you can sell and scale generated by I will probably be out at that point and doing more high impact work. I'm actually not big on using AI to remove the human out of the work that I do.
Yeah, yeah. And when you say remove the human, like as a rough rule of thumb, HubSpot did it. When I was back in corporate, they used to do analysis and say 50% is valuable work, 50% is work you shouldn't be doing of most people's job. What's your view on that? Because, yeah, we're human, but there's some things we should do and some things we shouldn't.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's one of the mistakes that a lot of people are making with AI at the moment is using AI as a tool where they just want to outsource the job. And then they complain that AI hasn't done it as well as they have, or, it's hallucinating, it's making things up. And I think the real potential and the real benefit of using AI is when we bring all of our skills, our wisdom, our expertise, and then we use AI to actually do more, to increase quality, to increase the impact that we make in our work. I said to you offline, I am busier than I have ever been. I don't have any more free time than I used to have, but what we can actually deliver because we're implementing AI in those places where you've got repeatable, mundane tasks, you've got things that really work well with AI, and then we keep the rest really human. And when we went all in on AI, we spent a month where we audited every task, every role, every aspect of what it is that we do in our business. And this is what we do with clients when we go in and do the AI business audit is we measure that across the whole business, every task, every role, every department, and really look at how much time is being spent on those mundane, repeatable tasks. Because then in 6 months, 12 months' time, you can actually see what that return on investment is. And there's a ton that we do in business that AI lends itself really well to.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw a post the other day saying, I think I'm a better human because of AI. And it sort of stopped me and I was thinking about, am I better or not? Am I just, and I wonder from your perspective, if you had to answer that post on LinkedIn, what would you say?
Well, I get asked all the time, is AI going to make us smarter or is it going to make us dumber? And I think it's a similar question. And I think those who bring a job and outsource it to AI and write one line prompt and then get rubbish out and then cut and paste that and post that out through automated social media posting, they're not learning anything from that and they're actually not contributing any value with that content either. Whereas if you actually watch what AI does, if you actually use it to do things that you might not be as good at, and particularly with the reasoning models, I love watching the reasoning of how AI does what it does. And I'm constantly learning new things because of how I'm using AI. And so I think it's up to us as humans. If we want to be lazy, we want to outsource what we do, we want to sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais and automate all of our engagement with other humans, then it's not going to make us a better human.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to how the human uses AI and that opportunity to really collaborate with and bring the best of AI and the best of the human. That's where you start to become a better human.
If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, Paul Higgins Mentoring, you'll see that, I'm getting wiser. I am getting older. And, I remember when we first got computers and the premise back there was, everyone was worried about what it was going to do to our jobs and blah, blah, blah. But it was also the fact that, now you're going to be working less. Well, it turned completely the opposite way, right? Because everyone was on all the time. You got 300 emails a day and it turned life into chaos. But the intelligent people and the people that did the hard work, etc., still rose through that, right? And I think it's going to be the exact same thing. That's what my interpretation of what you're saying is the same thing here, right? Like if you take it, what was the famous saying? Don't abdicate, delegate, right? And if you just abdicate responsibility to AI, you're going to get a crappy outcome. And then if you delegate properly, you'll get a good outcome. And speaking of that, let's talk about how you help your clients delegate. And we'll get back to that audit because I'm interested to see how that works. But, when I heard you on Michael's AI Explored podcast, you spoke about sort of 10 key documents. that you should have for your business so that the AI is better trained on you, right? So that more of that human element's in there. Tell us a little bit about what are these 10 documents? Why did you come up with it? And, how could we come up with those to help us?
Yeah, sure. You can get AI to do a really good job of sort of 70 to 75% of a task. But where you really start to see that magic is where the AI is aligned to you as the business owner, to your target audience, and to the business as a whole. So we developed this process, which is what we run in our coaching program, where we create these 10 foundation documents that we use to then train custom GPTs so that ChatGPT in this instance is highly aligned to the business and to the business owner and the audience. And so those first few documents are a professional me document. So as the business owner, you can give AI your personality and leadership profiling. You can give your AI all the things you love doing, all the things you hate doing, so that ChatGPT or your favorite AI platform can really align to your learning style, your communication style, your leadership style. And then we do a document around business basics. So that's all what are the products and the services and the structure, and what does your team look like, and what do your resources look like? And then we go into market trends and analysis, into target market or personas. We then develop a business plan, a financial plan, and then we take those documents into creating content strategies. So whether that's social media or other kinds of content, because once AI has all of that information, then instead of just sprouting out generic strategies, it's highly aligned, not just to you as the business owner or your business, but also to your target audience.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And look, I went and did that exact same thing, and I used it twofold. One is to create some custom GDPs and some projects in GDP. But the other thing is I gave it to a new mentor that I was working with, and he then went and took those documents, put it into his knowledge base, and collectively we came up with a much better outcome. So if you haven't got those foundational documents, highly recommend doing it. I'm sure that Sam's not listening to this podcast. It's funny, isn't it? The people that you know by first name, but I don't know, but we call them now.
Sam.
Yeah, correct. But when you upload these, if you update the documents, when you're creating a custom GDP, you've got to load them manually. You can't load them by a Google Drive link, as an example. That annoys me a little, and that's why I've sort of migrated a little bit to Gemini to do the same activity. But is there a workaround that?
Not at the moment. And to be really honest with you, custom GPTs almost feel a little outdated at the moment. You can't choose which model they're using. So the new O3 and O4 models that are available in ChatGPT have really taken things to that next level. They're almost what you'd call agentic.
Yes.
And so we're in this funny place at the moment where we're on the cusp of autonomous AI agents, but we're not quite there yet. There's quite a bit in custom GPTs that isn't quite plugged into the overall ChatGPT ecosystem, but it doesn't take away from highly trained, highly aligned custom GPTs, because the benefit of that shouldn't be underestimated.
Spot on. And I think it's the 80-20, right? Like, it's much better to miss the 10% or the 20% of things you haven't updated that's not 100% right, but having the document. So you don't let that be an excuse. But personally, I find that a little frustrating. But in projects, I use projects a lot more. So from your experience, what's the difference between, a custom GDP and a project within ChatGDP?
Look, a lot of it comes down to preference. I actually just use projects as a filing system. If I'm wanting to train ChatGPT to do a repeatable task, or to speak like I do, or represent a client or a customer, I find custom GPTs still to be better than projects. But I also know that people have set up projects in a similar way. I think the beauty of projects is you can find all of your conversations in one place.
Yes.
One of the disconnects is that you can't store conversations from custom GPTs in projects. And I think It's just one of those situations where there's all these amazing functionalities in ChatGPT and some of them don't speak to each other yet. I'm waiting for that. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know in ChatGPT is in the Teams account, they've actually launched, and no one's really talking about this, they've actually launched internal knowledge. In our Teams account, it's connected to Google Drive. I can give a prompt in O3 that says, go to our podcast folder, find all of the transcripts about our podcast, analyze the common themes, trends, questions left unanswered, or pull the best quote from each of those. And it actually navigates itself into Google Drive and does the list of tasks that I give it. Once that's possible in custom GPTs, I mean, then, the world feels limitless to me.
Yeah, and we're recording this. This is coming out in June of 2025, so it's probably will be there by the time this is out. But and the cost structure of Teams. So professionals, what, $20 USD a
Yep.
month? What's Teams?
Is $30, $30 a month, and you have to have a minimum of 2 licenses. And what Teams allows you to do, so my team have got access to the custom GPTs that I build. We can collaborate on those custom GPTs, and it just gives me more control over, I don't have a whole lot of people with their own accounts that if they were to leave, they might take those with them.
Great. So I'm assuming for the businesses you work with, it's a similar thing that they predominantly have Teams.
We generally recommend Teams because then they've also got some more control over how their data is used as well.
Great. And I know I use a prompting GPT to help me create prompts and instructions for everything else. That's just the way I do it. I don't know if that's the right way or not. What do you use to create better instructions for some of these custom GDPs?
Yeah, look, I think prompting has gone through a couple of evolutions. It used to be quite complicated. There was this real structure that you used to have. And then there's been this real shift to just have the conversation, tell it exactly what you want. I've got quite a defined process around advanced prompting where I will often create the prompt in a different platform, like say Perplexity,
Yes.
or I'll create my training data in a different platform like Perplexity. But now there's a lot of talk around delimiters and how the output is definitely better if you use, say, Markdown format and that you start speaking to it more in computer than in just human, hey, chatty, do this for me. And I think the platforms are all evolving to make it as simple as possible because that increases or gives a better user experience. But we've definitely moved away from needing really sophisticated prompting. I still come back to, we had the SNAP formula very early, which was set the role, name the task, add the details or the context of what you want, and then what you want the output to look like. So your preferences around the output. And I think if people basically stick to that kind of a structure, one of the big mistakes I see people making still is that give a really simple prompt and then get really upset that the output is not good.
Yes.
And AI is like this eager little intern. If you don't give it enough context, it goes out and makes it up because it wants to do a really good job of serving you as the person that's using the platform. And so if you don't give it enough context, it's going to go out into its vast knowledge and draw in whatever it thinks it needs to do a good job for you. That's where I think getting some skills around how you prompt and really getting detailed in the context of what you're wanting to create, that's where you start to see better results.
And you've been doing this when we talked roughly for 15 years, right? You've been across it a lot. You took a greater leap than many. You saw what was going to happen to your industry around content providing and social media, et cetera, and what impact, and you decided to, I suppose, reinvent yourself rather than be disrupted, which is brilliant. For most businesses you work with, and let's say small businesses, where are they at? I know it's a lengthy question to try to get a tight answer, but it's like so much far ahead of them, or are they actually better prepared for the AI conversation than what you thought?
Look, it's all aspects on the spectrum at the moment. And interestingly, small business are really well positioned. They're not governed by a lot of the data security regulations, all of the things that are stopping a lot of big businesses from taking action right now. not too dissimilar to social media 15 years ago. A lot of this, obviously, the small businesses that we work with are really keen to learn and understand what AI means for their business. And so they're catching up pretty quickly. Having said that, I still, in every room where I run a workshop, do a keynote, speak at a conference, I always gauge who in the room is using which tools. And every single time I speak, there are still people in the room who have not yet had their ChatGPT moment.
Right.
And I always apologize to them in advance because what I'm showing them is so advanced compared to that first ChatGPT cursor moving across the screen experience that most of us have had. And, sometimes people are up in the back corner of the room after they see what's coming if they haven't yet experienced ChatGPT. Everyone's in a different place, but I keep reminding people that we still are in the early adopter phase.
Yes.
And a lot of people have got this feeling like they've missed out or they're way behind the eight ball. It is moving so quickly. Those who catch up in 6 months' time won't have to do a ton of the work that the rest of us are doing to make AI work for us. It'll be plug and play in ways that it isn't right now. Wherever people are at, now's the time to start at least dabbling and understanding what it means for your business and your industry. But it's not too late. We're still in that early adopter phase.
Spot on. And look, I've always said to be a consultant, all you've got to do is be one step ahead of your client, right? You don't need to be the best person in the world at it. You just got to be better than the people they've got access to. So I think that's the first fundamental thing. The second thing is, and just a reminder, we're talking to Kate vanderVoort, episode 613. If you've sort of got a choice whether you want to go and do more of it or you bring someone like Kate into your client to do more of it, right? Personally, I think it's up to your preference, right? So I know for me, I was one of the first people to get a mobile phone, and Coca-Cola said we can't afford to give everyone a mobile phone. So I went out and bought one myself, and I got my customers to call me when the stock arrived, and they couldn't work out why I kept winning all the awards. He's cheating the system. He's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I just went out and used technology as an advantage. It's a similar thing that's happening now. If you want to be progressive and own that total revenue of innovation for your client, I suggest you get fast-tracked with agents and AI as quickly as you can. If not, and that's not your space and you want to be more on the technical platform side, that's cool. Just bring someone like Kate in to help your clients. But ultimately, we've all owe it to our clients to give them a clearer vision on this because, like you said, Kate, it can be so confusing at the moment. I know that you talked about Custom Dream Team, and I really like that. I sort of set that up. Can you just once again, just tell us what that means and give some tips on how maybe we can set up our custom dream team.
Yeah, I think, and I'll definitely do that. But I think some of what you've just said, there are so many different places and ways that you can integrate AI and that your clients can do that. And most of the work we're doing at the moment is that education culture change piece. Because if people are fearful about the technology, they can't see the opportunity. Sometimes you might be really tech enabled and you might absolutely be the right person to do the tech build. That's actually not my strength. I bring in other people to do the actual tech implementation, which is why I love what you're doing, Paul, because I always need those people. We're not always great at the education or the culture change piece. So it's about bringing the right people into that. And what a lot of businesses are doing is they want the tech answer before they do the people answer. And a lot of businesses, particularly in the SaaS world, you look at platforms, we've just gotten into Go High Level, and you look at a lot of those platforms and they're pushing these AI customer bots, and they're great. But if you haven't if you haven't implemented and integrated AI in the back end first, letting AI loose on customers is the worst thing you could possibly do. And so I think we all, particularly those that work in software, have got a role to play in educating our clients on the right order to do that, because you can let AI loose, but it can do a huge amount of damage. And the default mechanism right now is mistrust. And if you try and use AI voice calling and you try and fool people that it's a person, the backlash that could happen is significant. And so we've got a lot of decisions that we need to make in that process that need to be done really consciously. I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I think it just applies.
And I think what also there's different generational gaps. So, you've got to sort of take those into consideration. But I know that listen to one podcast where they were saying that they trust AI more than humans because humans tend to want to sell you something, et cetera, whereas the AI wasn't doing that. So that's just one perspective out there. But I think the overall point around, like you said, 18 years ago, you sort of was the same client base for your business. It's the same, there's people, process, and technology. They're sort of the three things that, drive the business growth. And, you've got to look at that people component. Now, as we're about to talk back to, those people might be human, they might be digital. So on the digital side of it, tell us a little bit about those digital team you may have.
Yeah, so the custom GPT dream team that we build in our coaching program can be any number of custom GPTs. Sometimes freelancers or agencies want to build one for each client. And so that means that they can create content, they can deliver proposals, they can develop all sorts of resources in the brand voice of their client. Business owners, they might have a website copy GPT, a Facebook post GPT, a blog writing article. We've got one for our podcast that develops really finely tuned questions for our guests. So we put in the guest bio, and our custom GPT goes through a process and spits out really aligned questions to the guest. And we frequently have guests say they're the best questions they've ever been asked because they're really tailored to the guests themselves. I've got custom GPTs that my team can ask questions of. So if there's any repeatable task, and I found, my team keep asking me the same questions, bless them, over and over again, I'm like, I'm going to train a custom GPT to answer these questions.
Yes.
And then it actually empowers them to go find the solution rather than continuing to come back to me. So once you create that custom GPT dream team, and I often joke that I need an HR manager to manage all my custom GPTs now, you can work with them together. You can create an article in one, and then you can tag another custom GPT and turn it into a Facebook post, and then you can tag another one that turns it into a LinkedIn post. So it really is, how deep do you want to go on that? And sometimes they're about doing a highly specific task and you want to give them training data. So if it's about Facebook,
Yes.
you want it trained on the Facebook algorithm. What are the high performing types of content? You want to give it examples of your writing style. And that way it's matching the Facebook algorithm with your writing style. So these custom GPTs, you bring in the skill set and then you align it to your business. And that's where you really start to see the benefit of those.
Yeah, and I don't know if you came across this, but I reached the maximum character limit in a Google document. I didn't even know one existed, but it was one they actually weren't specific. It was 1.1 to 1.2 million characters.
Wow.
So what I did was put all of my content in the one document, and I blew it up. So I've broken it now into multiple documents. It's a bit of a pain because you got to add multiple documents rather than the one, but it works. But I don't know if you ever broken a Google document.
I've not broken a Google document, but we will often have a table of contents document that will reference how to use each of the documents. And so the first step that we get the custom GPT to do is to reference the directory document, if you like, and we have done, I ran a workshop. It was probably one of my most favorite GPTs I've ever built. Ran a workshop in January around Kickstart 2025. And it was a 7-step workshop that helped everybody develop their business plan, their goals, create a vision board, do all of the things that we often do. But they actually created a custom GPT as they went. But I created a custom GPT to guide them through the process.
Yes.
And so that 7-step process, there was one document that gave the overview of the 7-step process. And then there was one document for each of the 7 steps that had a list of questions. It had an output, and that custom GPT was insane in terms of what it helped people to do. It's incredible when you really start getting deep into custom GPTs, just how useful they can be.
Correct. And, like I know now I had a diagnostic that used to be in a, go high level form. Now it's in a custom GDP. So, yeah, I think, it's evolving and now giving my clients, yes, I'm creating my own GDPs that I can share with them, but also them taking some of that knowledge and creating their own. So look, it's really exciting, and we'll have to get you back to talk agents because we're sort of out of space and time for that. But just quickly on the audit, how much of that is using AI versus how much is that human to create the business audit?
Yeah, look, we've created a custom GPT that does that process. We get everybody in a team or a department or a business to fill out a survey, and then we aggregate all of that information. So we look at time spent on email across the whole organization, per team, per department. And we did this process with a childcare franchise a little while ago and saved 40 hours a month across the business just on email, just by really understanding how the business were using email. But for anyone that's doing this, just be rigorous. Spend a week on your Excel spreadsheet every day. How much time are you spending on each of the main tasks? And then go have a conversation with ChatGPT or your favorite AI platform and say, look, here's my spreadsheet. This is how I'm using my time in my business. Create a 30-day roadmap for me. Break it down into small, measurable pieces, but create a 30-day roadmap of how I can start to use AI and prioritize based on how much time I'm spending on each of these tasks, prioritize where I should start by using AI.
Brilliant. Well, like I said, we could talk forever, but we need to be kind to you to get you back doing other things or maybe implementing what some of Kate's suggested. But what we're going to do now is just pause for a moment, then we'll come back and thank our sponsors. Running a SaaS consulting business can feel like a never-ending grind, hunting for clients, pricing your service, and delivering non-stop. But what if you had a proven system to unlock bigger deals and scale without being trapped in delivery? That's exactly what I break down in my free 3-system training. 1, the high-paying client engine, a lead gen system that attracts high-value clients on autopilot, so you'll never chasing low-quality deals again. 2, the 50K customer lifetime value blueprint, CLV. How to position and price your solutions for high-value engagements without turning into a pushy salesperson. And 3, the scale without you framework. The simple steps to reduce owner dependency, offload daily tasks, and escape the daily trap. The Scale Without You framework. The simple steps to reduce owner dependency, offload daily tasks, and escape the delivery trap. These are the exact strategies I've used with top SaaS consultants to land bigger deals and scale past 7 figures. If you want bigger deals, better clients, and more freedom, grab the training now at paulhigginsmentoring.com/deals. That's paulhigginsmentoring.com/deals. Watch it today and start making bigger moves in your business. We've thanked our sponsors. Let's go now into the rapid fire where I'm going to ask you 4 questions, Kate, and get rapid fire responses. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right, great. So the first one is, what are some of the daily habits you do that you haven't already explained to run your business?
To be honest with you, Paul, I am a single mum of 2 kids, scaling a business at the moment, and I wish I had more repeatable habits in my business. But the one thing that's moved the dial for me big time just in the last month is I've set up tasks in ChatGPT. Every evening at 9 o'clock, I get a notification and ChatGPT asks me 3 questions. What was your biggest win today? What was your biggest challenge? And what was left undone? And so I just type in or I speak it in and I just answer those questions. 5 o'clock the next morning, I get another notification from ChatGPT who says, wow, it sounds like yesterday was a bit of a rough day. Taking the challenges, this is how we're going to weave them into your to-do list for today. These are the things. And because it's all happening in the same conversation, because that's how tasks work, it will pick up things from days ago that I haven't done. And it's actually constantly tracking my learning, my development. It's constantly reminding me to delegate more. It's constantly saying, Kate, you work in AI. How much of this could we be doing? And so just that little process of using tasks in ChatGPT has really started to make a difference for me.
Oh, brilliant. Next question is, where do you go to find out more about the excitement or the exciting advancements that's happening in this industry?
Look, I listen to podcasts.
Mhm.
I mean, it's one of the things that I recommend to people who are just getting started. Find one or two communities of people that you trust because it is like drinking from a fire hose. There is so much information. So I don't really have any one place. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 podcasts I listen to on a regular basis. There are some great Facebook groups, entrepreneurial AI Facebook groups. We have our Facebook group. I learn a lot from my community, but I've just found I have tasks set up to give me particular news stories every day based on the criteria that I've given it. And that's how I probably stay across the breaking news the most.
Yeah, brilliant. If we grant you one wish, what would that be?
I need help with Go High Level.
Well, I can help with that.
I'm sure there's 1,000 people listening to the podcast who will now inbox me.
If anyone knows all the Go High Level partners, it's myself. If not, I've actually got Alex, who's one of the co-founders, coming on the podcast soon, so we can help you. So we'll talk offline. But if you are an expert in GHL and you don't know me, reach out to Kate on LinkedIn. We'll have that in the show notes. And the last one is, you've been in this industry, I suppose, for 15 years, but you've been, using AI before ChatGPT was about. What do you know now that you wish you had known earlier?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's just there is no right way to do it. And it's just about getting in and having a go. And I get on the tools all the time. I see a great suggestion, I jump in, I give it a go myself. But I think probably the number one underestimated use of AI is using it as a thought partner. And I wish I had have started that earlier because Chatty G in particular, my good mate Chatty G, we do some amazing conversations that really help me as a business owner be more strategic, unpack some of my biggest blocks that I have around business and really keep pushing me. It's like the best business coach I've ever had.
Brilliant. And the only thing I'll say on that, it's brilliant, but for Kate, and because of the work that she's doing and for others, I still think there's a lot of information that's not available, that's still proprietary to the person. So, where Kate, I think it's a nice way to finish this. Kate said that it's, about the human element and it's about the human using the AI. I think, yes, it's brilliant to go and get some advice from it. 100% agree with that. But also I think there's certain people that are very good at what they do. And if not in the open AI or wherever the ether system is at the moment, don't miss that as well. And that's a reason why I'm saying that is to go, and you can go to Kate's Facebook group at AI Success Lab. So we'll have that in the links. We'll also have the socialmediology.com.au link and her profile as well. And check out her podcast, the AI Grapple podcast, where it talks more about the ethical side of AI and business. So, Kate, wonderful having you on here. I'm so glad that I heard you on Mike's podcast. So thanks, Mike. And it's great to have you on. Yep, have a great day.
Thanks so much, Paul.
What a great interview with Kate. If you're still feeling overwhelmed, I hope this episode gave you some clarity and certainly gave you some ideas about not just you, but also how you can help your clients' businesses. Kate showed us how success in AI isn't always about just the tools. It's about using better, fewer tools and building the right systems around it. Ultimately, people are still using the AI. If you're a SaaS consulting partner juggling delivery, marketing, sales, you know how it is, and you want the edge, this could be perfect for you. Imagine AI not just saving you time, but actually helping your team deliver better without it all falling back on you as the owner. Reach out to Kate on LinkedIn. All the links will be in the show notes. And thank her, ask her questions. Check out her AI Success Lab and also see if Kate and you can collaborate to help your end clients. And don't forget, you can watch this full conversation on the Paul Higgins Mentoring YouTube channel. See you next time on the Paul Higgins Podcast. If you've got value today, hit subscribe so you don't miss future episodes and reach out. Let me know you've listened. I'd love to hear from you.